across the heart of Cowboys country. It's your opportunity to ask questions to Cowboys insider Mickey Spagnola. This is Silver Star Nation Interactive.
After a W over the Detroit Lions the previous week, the Cowboys weren't able to get over 500 for the first time this season, falling to the Houston Texans in overtime. Welcome to the Silver Star Nation Interactive Show, everyone. I'm Ben Creighton. This show revolves around all of you Cowboys fans. This is your chance to have your questions answered by our insider, Mickey Spagnola. Make sure to tweet your questions using the hashtag AskMickey. And speaking of the man of the hour, he joins us live from the Star in Frisco. Mickey, what's going on? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Pouring down rain here in Frisco, Texas, and so it's a good day to be inside.
There you go. We're supposed to get thunderstorms later this afternoon here in Arkansas, so definitely a great day to be inside. All right, let's get things going, Mickey. Let's lead with what's probably been the biggest topic of discussion the last 48 hours, Jason Garrett's decision to punt the ball away on 4th and 1. That, of course, resulted in Houston driving down the field and winning on a field goal. Let's get into the first question really quickly right off the bat. Obviously, fans are very disappointed, obviously, with Jason Garrett, not just with this past game, but I'm sure over the last couple of seasons. Julius asks, is Jason Garrett's job finally in jeopardy?
No, it's absolutely not. You know, he asked over the last couple years, so I guess he forgot 2016 when they went 13-3 and he was voted the NFC Coach of the Year. So I guess he just got stupid here over the last year and a half. Look, what happens with decisions like that, and Bill Parcells would always say it, whatever works is right. And so the fact that it didn't work, it was the wrong decision. What if they had gone for it and missed? Does anybody consider that part of it? It sounds like it's just an automatic that had they gone for it, they were going to pick it up on 4th down. They went for it on 3rd down and they didn't pick it up. So you go for it on 4th down, you don't pick it up, and then you give them the ball at the 42-yard line. I had one of my guys that is into those next-gen stats type thing, and I said, okay, go back and see what the percentages were of losing the game had you not picked it up on 4th down, and it was 69%. The other part of that equation is, had they picked it up, that didn't guarantee them winning. They still had to move downfield to at least kick a field goal, and had they kicked the field goal, the Texans still had a possession. The game wasn't over. So it wasn't like picking it up was going to help you definitely win the game, but I guarantee you not picking it up would have certainly led to you losing the game, because the Texans would only have to go, what, 20 yards maybe to be able to kick a field goal and win it. So I understand everybody being upset that they lost the game and they got into overtime, but those decisions are tough to make. And I always tell people, why don't you make that decision? And when you say what you're going to do, and they barely made it on 4th and 1 when Dak did a quarterback sneak and had to reach the ball over the pile that didn't move. The other thing I think that everybody forgotten was 10 of his 20 carries totaled, you know how much they totaled? 0 yards. 10 of the 20. So it wasn't an automatic that they were going to pick it up. And I think at times you have to consider the worst case scenario, not what the best case scenario is.
You know, Mickey, we talked about the offense, and I'll tell you what, after that Lions performance, I was kind of hoping they turned the corner, but man, I was wrong. Only 16 points scored against Houston, and when Dallas's defense played as well as they did, it's really disheartening to see the offense couldn't really help them out. I know there's a lot that's contributing to Dallas being ranked 28th in the NFL right now, but what about this offense frustrates you the most?
Yeah, it's frustrating that they don't perform well on the road. Now, I don't know if that's dependent on the opponent on the road, but on the road they're averaging 12.3 points a game. At home in the 2 games, they're averaging 23 points a game. So maybe it has to do with you played better defenses on the road than you have at home. They just can't seem to get a consistent offense going. And again, what teams are starting to look at is we're going to make sure Dak Prescott's not comfortable in the pocket. And if everybody was paying attention watching the game, the Texans blitzed a heck of a lot. And they were blitzing to make things uncomfortable, not only for Dak, but they were run blitzing also. So the Cowboys have to figure out how they're going to stop the blitz, because in this copycat league, once somebody has success against you doing something, the next team's going to do this exact same thing. So you watch for Jacksonville to do a lot of blitzing against the Cowboys Sunday at AT&T Stadium. They've got to do a better job of making teams pay for blitzing like that. They've got to do a better job protecting the quarterback. I've been saying it and saying it and saying it. Now, was Dak perfect? No. He had a couple passes that were outside the catching radius of his wide receivers, but they too have to do a better job of getting open. But first and foremost, you better block it up front, because they had a play late in the game where they had Blake Jarwin. They had a busted coverage, and Jarwin was running free down the right sideline, but unfortunately no one decided to block J.J. Watt, who came through the middle and sacked him before he could throw the ball. So there are other things that go on in a game that you have to pay attention to, not just the fact that the quarterback, blame it on the quarterback or blame it on the head coach's decision.
Again, Cowboy fans, if you have questions, make sure to tweet them at us using the hashtag AskMickey. Mickey, let's flip to the other side of the ball. It was a good performance by Rod Marinelli's group. 5 trips in the red zone for the Texans. They only scored 1 touchdown and 3 field goals. What has really impressed me about this defense lately is Leighton Vander Esch filling in very nicely for Sean Lee. The first-round pick led the team in tackles on Sunday night. What has the rookie been doing that has really impressed you?
Well, I think he's been doing the things they thought he could do because they used that first-round pick on him. They felt like he was a guy that could come in and play both linebacker spots. The middle spot, in case Jalen Smith wasn't ready to play 70 plays a game, or he could play the weak side spot if Sean Lee should get hurt. And that's why they made that first-round investment in him, and it was actually a good investment at this point. The 2 games that they've played without Sean Lee, the defense has actually played well, and well enough to win both games. He's got great lateral movement for a young guy that hasn't played that much 11-on-11 football. Remember, in high school, he was playing 8-and-8, and when he got to college, he only really started that 1 year at Boise State at linebacker. So from a starting standpoint, that was his 16th start in 11-man football. And you see he's a very good student of the game. He's almost like a little Sean Lee. He kind of diagnoses things. He's got a good eye for what's going on in the game, and he's a pretty good tackler. And even on that trick play on the goal line where the Texans scored, he got there at the 1-yard line, just wasn't quite soon enough, but he snuffed out that trick play that they ran close to the goal line. So he's everything they had hoped for. He had 13 tackles. Jalen Smith, you can see how well he's running. He had 12 tackles. The 2 linebackers had 25 tackles. That's a pretty good performance by those guys, and it should have been good enough to win. You just got to be able to score more than 16 points. And on top of those 2 guys played, if you remember last week, my big deal was can get a takeaway, maybe an interception, because they only had 2 going into that game. Well, they actually got 2 in the game, so that was a step in the right direction also for that defense.
Now, again, I have to ask another week, same question. What's the latest on Sean Lee?
I don't think he's going to make it back this week. It doesn't look like the hamstring's going to allow him to go. He's been working outdoors. Well, not today, but he's been working on the cords, the resistant cords, and trying to strengthen his leg. And I'm thinking if he can't make it this game, then maybe they play it really conservative next week against Washington, knowing that they got the bye after that. So that would give him a couple extra weeks to rehab that leg, and maybe for the last half of the season, he's good to go. But I don't think he's going to make it back for this game. I think they're optimistic that any of the family stuff that was getting in the way of David Irving playing on Sunday, it looks like it's calmed down. So he should be good to go. And, you know, the good thing about it is if it has been, he would get 3 more practices this week before they have to play the Jaguars on Sunday.
And you know, it's not going to get any easier for this Cowboys offense going up against one of the best defenses in the NFL in the Jacksonville Jaguars. They only allow 17 points per game, which is 3rd in the league, and allow only 292 yards per game, which ranks at the very top of the NFL. What makes this Jacksonville defense so dominant, and how can the Cowboys offense be productive against the Jaguars?
Yeah, and I'm not sure because none of those statistics held up this past Sunday against Kansas City, did they? They gave up 30 points, and I think they had almost 400 yards total offense. You know, they just have they have good players. Let's just start right there. Their 7-man front is awfully good. We know what Barry Church can do at the safety position with Ramsey there. So they've got good personnel. But when they played a really good offense, which doesn't mean they're going up against a really good offense this coming Sunday, they certainly struggled. They had a lot of problems with Kansas City. You know, I'm not sure what makes them go because I watched that game on Sunday, and they sure didn't do very much against Mahomes and what Kansas City had to offer. I think the one thing the Cowboys have to do to get back to you know, performing the way they have in their 2 wins is they've got to have Ezekiel Elliott running for yards. And that wasn't on him. They had trouble blocking Houston. They had trouble getting him to the line of scrimmage, which again goes back to where we started. You know, are you going to gamble on 4th down in overtime when you're having trouble getting your running back to the line of scrimmage? You probably were going to have to, if you decided to go for it, come up with some fancy trick play or some real quick short pass to be able to pick up that 1st down.
Mickey, as always, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hopefully, I think I'm kind of a curse a little bit because the 2 times I've hosted the show, we're coming off of Cowboys losses. So maybe when Wes comes back next week, it'll be after a win. Maybe he's their good luck charm. But again, thank you so much, Mickey.
I'm going to go down the hallway and tell him make sure Wes is doing this show from now on, right?
Yeah, I'll make sure he does it next week. I won't be back. I think Cowboy fans will be appreciative of that.
All righty.
All right, thanks, Mickey. Appreciate it. Again, Cowboy fans, this is for you. We only got 1 question in this interactive show. Make sure to keep sending your questions every single week, every Tuesday at 3 o'clock here on the Silver Star Nation Interactive Show. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you again next week.
Across the heart of Cowboys country, it's your opportunity to ask questions to Cowboys insider Mickey Spagnola. This is Silver Star Nation Interactive.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. The Cowboys not able to give. Man. Again, the live shows are good, but the recorded stuff, I can't talk. I don't know why that happens. All right, 3, 2, 1. The Cowboys not able to get above 500 for the first time this season, falling in overtime to the Houston Texans on Sunday night. Silver Star Nation's Mickey Spagnola joins us from the Star. And Mickey, let's lead with what's been probably the biggest topic of discussion in the last 48 hours. Jason Garrett's decision to punt it away on 4th and 1 that, of course, resulted in Houston